I'm a year 13 student, predicted all A stars in my A levels, and in this video I'm going to tell you exactly the mistakes I made in the first few weeks of sixth form and exactly how you can avoid them. Number one is aim high. In 2023, it was the start of my year 12 new sixth form environment. I had just gotten really good GCSE results, and honestly I was gassed because I just got into a grammar school. So a grammar school is basically a school where only a select people who got like really good grades can enter in. So going into the school, I was really excited to basically learn, right? I go into the school, I go into the class, and immediately there is an incredible paradigm shift. I'm now instantly surrounded by a different group of people. So to give a backstory to this, right? I was going to like a normal secondary school, right? I had like the normal like bog standard secondary school. Like there weren't that many smart people. I think I was the only guy who kind of like actually cared about his grades. It's partly due to the fact because like I'm Indian and I have like Indian parents and stuff, but also I wanted to be productive myself. But like in this environment, not a lot of people were actually aiming for high grades. So when I was doing my GCSEs, a 9 is like an A star, it's the highest grade. I don't think a lot of people were actually aiming for a 9. Think about that, right? When you do a subject, when you enter into a subject, you're not aiming for the highest grade. You're just like doing it. Without a clear goal in mind, that automatically reduces your progress. Because now you're sort of like a feather just floating around. You don't have a clear direction to work hard towards. So the first very important piece of advice I want to tell you when it comes to sixth form, if you're in year 12 right now, is aim for the highest grade possible. I don't care what you got in your GCSEs. Your GCSEs are over, right? The people who like are still stuck on GCSEs are just losing progress now. Like the fixating about what your GCSE score, whether it's good or bad, right now is completely futile. Like there's no point in doing that. Now, the only aim you should have is to aim for the highest grade. If you're doing a subject and you don't think that you can get an A star in it, you shouldn't be doing that subject. This is a lesson that I learned very like in a very hard way. That when you're doing a subject, the only aim you should have is to get the very highest grade to it. You should aim for the highest grade. Who cares if you don't get it, right? You're gonna make more progress if you aim very high, comparatively to if you just like randomly just I don't know, I'm just like doing practice papers because my mom told me, right? So the first very important piece of advice is just, regardless of your like work ethic or what type of student you think you are, or what type of student like historically you think you are as well, regardless of your results for GCSEs, you should be aiming for the highest grade in whatever subjects you're taking. I don't care if like your teacher told you that you'll get a C. I don't care. Like if you aim for the highest grade, there's no disadvantage in that, okay? So that's the first very key role. You should have a piece of paper or like some kind of Word document where for every subject you take, you should basically aim for an A star, right? And that's the first very important piece of advice that I wish I'd known when I was in year 12, because like it's really hard to describe, but it's very hard to aim for an A star. Like getting good grades don't like catch you by surprise. No one just walks into the exam and accidentally gets an A star. I mean, some people do, but like the majority of the time, the people who are aiming for the highest grades are aiming for something even higher. Like if you think about this, right? Think about like the all nine student in your GCSE class, or like think about the top student in your class. They're not aiming just for the top grade. They're aiming for 100%. I know this person who's doing his TMUA, so it's like a maths exam thing, and anything above like grade 6 or a 7 is a very good score. But this guy is aiming for full marks. Now he doesn't get full marks consistently, but still he manages to get the highest grade. This is the same for like maths or further maths. I know people who are genuinely trying to get 100%, not lose a single mark in the exam. Now, if you have this goal that you're working towards, even if you don't get 100%, you're still left with an A star. So like you don't lose anything by aiming high. I'm not saying that this is the only thing you need to do, but not having a big goal in mind written down is very dangerous almost. And like it's kind of useless if you don't do this. So the TLDR of this step is just aim for a high goal in whatever subject you're taking. Number 2 is don't listen to the boasters. When I came into year 12, maybe it's just my school, but there were a lot of people who just, because they thought they got good GCSEs, because they thought they got like all nines or something, they would have this sort of attitude of complacency. They wouldn't really want to do the work. They would always like brush it off as if it was easy, and like they would always like flex, man. Like I like, put aside like academic progress, I just hated these kinds of people in general. If you come up to me and start like flexing your GCSE grades, like it's not a very good character trait to have, regardless of like how you think people are perceived. If they just like show off their GCSE grades, actually academically, this gives you a sense of complacency. So complacency is basically when you think you can achieve something without doing the work. So if you get all nines at GCSE, very well done, but this doesn't mean the A levels will be easier. I've had so many people who got literally all nines at GCSE, didn't get a single grade 8, 7 or like below a 9, and still they got predicted really low in A level. Why? Because they wouldn't listen in lesson, they wouldn't revise in class, they wouldn't do the practice questions, because somehow they thought that their past would help them with the subject. But the past is in the past. What you need to do now is focus on the future and try to get the grades in the future. What you do now will govern your results in the future. It's almost simple to say, right? But a lot of people struggle to put their head around this. A lot of people like just think they're naturally smart. No one's naturally smart. Okay. I go back on that. Some people, like a very select few of people are very smart. Like there are like 2-3 people in my year that literally don't revise at all. I never see them revising, and they get 100, like almost the best grades across the board. But this sense of complacency will catch up to them in the future. Having a very uncomplacent, humble attitude is very, very good for grades, because it puts you in a state where you're always working, you're always vigilant about the future, and you never like kind of slack off. This is a little side tangent, but I'm not distancing myself away from this. I experienced this myself. Like after my end of year 12 exams, I kind of fell off. That's why you see I haven't really posted on this channel, because like I kind of fell off and I kind of became like complacent. I thought that because I got like the A stars predicted, that I was somehow a good, like set for A levels, but I was shown very, very harshly that like I'm still not that guy. I'm still not as good as I think I am. I'm still behind. Like okay, bit of a side tangent, but I would literally like play games in my free period, play games in my class. This is a very bad thing to do. Don't do this. But that like sort of like complacency from me, just thinking that I automatically know the subject, is what caused me to be so behind in like physics or further maths right now. So now I'm like in the process of like catching up, and I kind of look to my past self thinking like, why would I do that? Why would I stay complacent? I should have been working when I was like mucking about. But anyway, that's a good lesson learned. Don't be complacent. Always be locked in. Never like switch off in class, because the second you switch off, other people overtake you, and it's just not a very good habit to have. But yeah, back to the main point. Don't be boastful when you come into sixth form, because a lot of people come into sixth form, they get good GCSEs, and then they just turn into, I don't want to say the words because I'm gonna get like demonetized, but they just turn into very annoying people. So don't be that guy just because it's not a good character trait to have, and you risk losing your academic success. Number 3, the subjects will be hard. When I came into the sixth form of my choice, there was a weird part of me that thought that if I revise enough, A levels will become easy. But now looking back on that, like I'm so wrong. Like A levels themselves never get easy. You just get better at dealing with them. I know this may be hard to comprehend, but let me just try and explain myself. A lot of people think that when they revise, the questions become easier. This is not the case with A levels, especially like very hard A levels, like maths, further maths, or physics or computer science, because like it's hard to explain, but like they require the same like logical thinking skills. So if you revise for a subject, all you're doing is you're just learning the content beforehand, and you're just practicing that like neural pathway of trying to answer that question. But the questions themselves don't get harder. You just get better at tackling them. So when you go into an exam, you don't like breeze past the questions. They still take a lot of time, but you get better at getting marks, if you kind of get what I mean. But like the best way to explain this, right, is okay, if you see like a UFC fighter, if you see like who's a big UFC fighter that fought recently, like okay, I think if you watch the UFC, there was one guy named Merab who beat Sugar Sean, another fighter. And when you see these two fighters preparing for the fight, they're not expecting the fight itself to become easy. Like, no one's going to come in there and just like completely dominate. That's not what happens, right? It may happen like very, very rarely, but that's 99% of the time, that's not what happens. What happens is they become very, very good, or like they become incrementally better at a specific skill that just edges them over to the victory. So I think Merab won on decisions because he just threw that one punch. He knew when to throw the left hook to get him the points to win the match. This is the same when it comes to A levels or any test. You're not aiming for the test to become easy. You're not, when you sit down to revise, you don't think that, oh, it's going to turn easy one day. What you're going to try and do is train yourself to gain more marks in the exam. I know that this is very hard to comprehend because no one else says this, but like, try and really, really contemplate over what I said. Like, you're not trying to make the A level easy. You're trying to make yourself better at gaining marks. So just try to think about this. This is a very like nuanced point that I don't think a lot of people have mentioned. But yeah, just if I knew this at the beginning of A levels, it would have made my life so much easier because I've spent so much time trying to practice for the further maths exam to become easy, just to realize that the exam will never become easy. It's just myself that needs to change, and I need to get better at tackling the questions. Tip number 4 is detach your personality from your grades. So when I was in year 11 or year 10, I had like mock results day. So like in my GCSE exams, I think we did 8 like GCSE mocks, like a full week of like just mocks. And after like the week, the results came out, and we were given these like brown envelopes. And I remember going to the table, grabbing the envelope, and then just like sprinting away somewhere far away from everyone else and looking at the results. Now, this is kind of a, like, I kind of portray myself as some kind of like neek, going away from everyone. Honestly, I was actually just scared. I was scared of not what the numbers would say, because I wasn't scared to actually open the results. I was scared about what other people would think if I got a bad result. Now, this in hindsight is a very immature thing to do. And a lot of people do this. A lot of people think that other people like have this bad perception of them if they get a bad grade. And now if you go into A levels with that ideology that, oh, if I fail at something, everyone else is going to think bad of me. You're going to think that everyone else thinks bad about you all the time, because especially when it comes to A levels, when like the content goes up, or just later on in life in general, if you're just trying anything and you like fail at it and you think that everyone else is watching you, you're gonna feel like really, really bad, and you're not gonna want to fail more. Now, failure is the best like practice we can have. Failing at something basically means you've learned from it. Like, you can have very valuable lessons from failing. For example, I failed these last 2-3 months because I completely slacked off my revision. Now I have lessons to go forward. Now I've developed a new system of working. I've developed a new routine to prevent that. I've genuinely changed my life because I failed in the last 2-3 months. Failing is not a bad thing. And the second you detach your personality from the numbers on the sheet is when you realize this. The best thing I did, like, I think the most growth I've had compared to like year 11, year 10, where when it comes to like going into sixth form, is not the grade wise or like getting better grades, but it's just looking, like, when I look at my results, whether it's good or bad, I look at it like I'm like a person up there in like the corner of the room. I don't look at the result at like myself. I don't look. It's really hard to explain, but like when I look at the results, I don't think that, oh, this is going to affect me. I look at it with a more objective mindset in place, and this enables me to actually like draw lessons from this grade or something. So when you have grades, when you have results, detach your self-worth from your grades, because no one's looking at you. Like, to be honest, like on results day, no one cares what you get. Like, people may ask, oh, what do you get? What do you get? But they're only asking that to not making weird, basically. They don't actually like sit up at night and think, what's this guy getting? No one, you're not that important, bruv. You're not like an A-list celebrity. You're just some random flipping Pakistani dude who's watching another random Indian dude online. All you need to do is like have this in your brain that your grades don't define you. I know how cringe that Instagram advice is. I know that it's cringe that your teachers been telling you, even though they kind of want you to get better grades for their school. But genuinely, like, your grades will not define you. There is no change if you get bad grades. I've seen the smartest people I know get terrible grades, and I literally don't think of them worse at all. And I've seen like the dumbest people I know get the best grades, and I still think they're stupid. This narrative created online, like it's basically all social media. Like, honestly, if you go online to like Reddit or something, like I hate like the r/6th form or r/GCSE. I've always hated these forum pages because there's so many like random people who like criticize you for no reason. But honestly, in real life, if you go up to people IRL, they do not give a about your grades. I don't want to swear because like this is gonna get demonetized and stuff. I lose brand sponsorships. But your self-worth shouldn't be defined by numbers on the page. That's a pretty bad self-worth if you just like if that's 100% what your personality is based around. You should probably consider changing your personality, because you don't want to be that one guy just like the only like good thing about him is that he has good grades. You need to like diversify your interests if your only thing in your life is your grades. And I know how you're feeling about this, right? Like, you've probably been conditioned throughout your life that, oh, grades are really, really important. But I can tell you for a fact that you will make more progress if you look at your grades in a more objective manner. If you look at your grades not as yourself, but as like a fun way to improve in life. That's how you improve in grades. That's how you become less fearful to make mistakes and less fearful of failure, when you just don't, like, your self-worth isn't defined by these numbers on the page. And I wish I had drilled this in my mind in like year 11. So I had kind of already wanted to change this in year 12, but I wish I had drilled this in my mind in year 11. I was so scared to go and collect my GCSE results because I thought about what everyone else would think. But no one else is thinking about you. You're not that important. So the TLDR of this entire section is no one cares about you. No one cares about you, bro. But yeah, basically detach your personality or detach your self-worth in yourself, like your self-importance, from your grades. The second you do that, you become way happier and you kind of improve your grades as well. So it's a win-win. Tip number 5 is develop a routine. Now, what is a routine? I actually have a full video coming out on exactly what a routine is. I didn't actually know what a routine was in year 12. I know, like, you probably think that you know what a routine is, right? You don't. But before I answer this question, what is a habit? A habit is something you do every single day. If you go and brush your teeth before you go to bed every single day, that becomes a habit. That kind of motion, that thing you do becomes a habit. Now, if you are some like weird stinky dude who doesn't brush his teeth before he goes to bed, and you want to start brushing your teeth before you go to bed, it will require you discipline to go and do that. Another example is, every time I wake up in the morning, I wake up like very, very early in the morning right now. This thing doesn't feel hard to me. I'm not doing this to boast, but genuinely, like, waking up really early in the morning, like 4:30, doesn't feel hard to me because I've made that into a habit. A routine is basically when you make your whole day into a habit. It's when you do the same things every single day, or like the similar things every single week, forever. Not forever, but like for an extended period of time. It's like the timetables we have in school. You have maths in the morning from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. You have further maths from 12 p.m. to 2 p.m. And you have that for every other day, or like every recurring Wednesday, or every recurring Friday. That is a routine. The school system is designed to make you have a routine. Now, when we extend this into our own lives, this is when we become truly productive. This is when we produce truly good work. Look at any successful person. By successful, I don't mean like some random Bengali dude who goes to your school and got all nines. I mean like proper, like very, very successful guy. Let's look at like a millionaire, right? Who's a millionaire? Like Iman Gadzhi. Like, you may have your own thoughts on who Iman Gadzhi is. He's basically like a very, very, very influential like millionaire, basically. This guy has a routine that he does every single day, pretty much every single day, for like 6 months at a time. Take another very successful person. Think of any successful, like truly successful person, and look at their routine. Look at like Khabib. Khabib had the same training regimen he did every single day leading up to a fight. This routine sort of paradigm shift that we need to follow is very, very powerful because it enables us to develop consistency in our life. Life in itself is very chaotic. Like, you may have some like random thing come up like 3 days from now, or you may have like some random like relationship you get into like 5 days from now. The only way to sort of make this stable, the only way to guarantee that you're going to do work for an extended period of time is through having a routine. This is why you see so many successful people have it. It's just because like it makes it so much easier to do. Now, a lot of people are going to come at me saying, "Oh no, this is very, very unsustainable. You can't have this." I'm not telling you to revise 10 hours a day. All I'm saying is that you should have some kind of routine that you develop and stick to for the rest of school, including weekends, especially weekends. You should have something you do every single weekend and every single weekday to guarantee you that you're consistently doing work. Consistency is the name of the game when it comes to A-levels. When I started year 12, I thought that I would study 6 hours a day every single day, and I tried doing that for the first 3 days, and then I burnt out, and then I couldn't do that anymore. Now I'm going into this more holistic view. I plan out my day, I plan out my week through Google Calendar. I have like blocks of work to do in the morning, I have a gym session in the evening, and then I have like reading to do in like the evening as well. This sustainable, more consistent way of planning out your day is way better than just like planning out your day the day before. This is what I used to do. If you go look at my videos in the past, I used to just plan out the day before. But planning out your entire week, or planning out like weeks in advance and doing the same things every single day. 4:30 wake up, 5 to 7 revise, 7 to 9 revise, 9 to 4 go to school, 4 to 5 revise, 5 to 8 go to the gym. Something like that every single weekend, including weekday. You're gonna genuinely outperform everyone, regardless of whoever is like saying stuff about you. You will become very, very capable. You will get one of the highest grades if you do it properly, if you follow this routine. Now, I can't say that I've been following my routine 100%. Even if you follow your routine for like 50% of the time, you'll become way more consistent and way better than someone who doesn't have a solid routine to focus on. And this is something I wish I'd told myself like a year ago. I wish I had told myself that it's not about the hours you revise or like how many all-nighters you do. It's just about doing a little bit of work consistently, a little bit of deep work consistently. So I'm going to make a full guide on how to make a routine, how to plan on Google Calendar, how to have like the productivity system set up. But trust me that making a consistent routine that you can stick to is way better than doing like 8 hours a day at A-level. And I've seen people who've tried to do 8 hours a day at A-level. I had a friend who tried to do like 12 hours a day leading up to the end of years, and he got like D's or like E's. So it doesn't work like that. It doesn't work like GCSE where you can just like cram the night before. You have to do work consistently. Tip number 6, do deep work. A couple of weeks ago, I was returning from my India trip. I had just gone on a vacation with my family to India, like the south of India basically. And I had a really good time like meeting my family and everything. But on the way back in the airport, I came across this like bookshop. Now, I'd always wanted to go into reading, but like, I don't know, there's this weird like taboo that like Indian brown people don't really read. Like, a lot of people think that like if you're from India or if you're from Pakistan, you don't really read. But like I really wanted to get into like reading books like consistently. So I went into the bookshop and I came across this book. It's called Deep Work by this guy named Cal Newport. I've actually mentioned it a lot of times in my videos, but I'd never like read it cover to cover. Now, this book genuinely changed my life. This book teaches you exactly how to work. Working is a skill that you haven't really been taught in school. No one sat you down and told you, oh yeah, like to work, you have to do this. These are the rules and principles that we put in place before we work like mature people. No one sat you down and done this, right? So in like a couple weeks time, I'm going to make a full guide on how to use this to get good grades and how to use this to just perform highly as a very productive student. But like, just to summarize this, right? You need to do something called deep work. Deep work is basically blocks of concentrated revision. The next time you are like become stupid and try to do a 10-hour revision session for revising for your test. Look at the quality of work that you produce. Look at the way in which you're doing the work and ask yourself if that is productive. I can tell you, if you work for more than 90 minutes at a time, it's unproductive. It's scientifically proven that you can only work, like especially if it's like teenagers like us, you can only work for about 90 minutes at a time before you get tired. And this is like pushing it. These are like the top university graduates who can work 90 minutes time. For me and you, it's probably about like 70 minutes. 70 minutes of focused work. Every single block of work is what we can manage. Now, you may think that you can work 4 hours at a time. You may think that you can do a 12-hour, like, all-nighter to revise for your test. If you think that, then fair enough. But that's not true. You can't do that. It's scientifically proven. The most productive people, think about this, right? The most productive people, the presidents, the entrepreneurs, the businessmen, only do like 3 to 4 hours of deep work a day. I was watching a podcast the other day by this guy named Iman Ghazi. I mentioned him previously in the video. He's like this massive influential like entrepreneur guy who's like, he has like a 25 million net worth. He gets like millions of dollars a month. And this guy only does 4 hours of like deep work a day. Even like whilst he was building his business, all he did was 3 to 4 hours of deep work a day. If a multi-millionaire businessman, superstar, very hardworking guy who's produced so much only does 4 hours a day to build his company to 25 million, why the hell do you think you need to do more than that for A-levels, bro? Why do you think that a guy who literally owns and created a $25 million company should do less work than you just doing A-levels? You may have the insecurity that, oh yeah, I'm like a bad student, but no, like that's not how it works. You can't counter for the lack of your like intelligence by doing more work, because the work you do is not quality work. There's a saying that goes in this book, I think, this or like someone else quoted it, that says 1 hour of deep concentrated work is equivalent to about 6 hours of shallow work. Shallow work is the other type of work. It's when you have your emails open. It's when you're like talking to your friends, when you're doing like group study sessions with your mates. 1 hour of deep concentrated work is equivalent to about 6 hours of shallow work. This is probably the reason why, like, if you're a crammer like me, when you try and cram like 3 hours before the exam, this is when like you actually start to understand the content. This is when you actually like get better at the test. It's because you're doing deep work in that moment. And I'm not gonna brag on about like deep work and how it's good, but basically I started making a to-do list before every time I like started working. Like recently, I've made a to-do list on exactly what I need to do to fulfill deep work, and then I've begun tracking it over there. But basically, now I can track exactly how many hours of deep, like concentrated work I do all week. If you only work in deep work blocks, I call them deep work sessions, then you will 100% get better grades. That is my guarantee to you. If you do deep work sessions, you will outcompete someone who's doing shallow work sessions. That is like, that's how it works. That's how like nature works. That's how science works. If you want to disagree with me, read this book. I'm not here to argue. But basically, like, if I had told myself in year 11 that you don't need to revise, or year 12, sorry, that you don't need to revise 6-7 hours a day, but you just need to do about 3 to 4 hours of deep work every single day, and you'll be completely fine for the exam, especially if you can do it consistently. Even if you do 30 minutes of deep work a day, that's completely fine. I would have been in such a better position than I am now. Honestly, like, the amount of mistakes I've made in year 12 is crazy. I don't even know how I'm predicted A-stars. But if I would have just followed this rule in my life, that, okay, only do like a few hours of concentrated deep work, yeah, I would be further than me like right now. I would be better grades. I would have had a much better YouTube channel. I would have had a much better like physique. But yeah, again, failure isn't the end. You have to learn lessons, and yeah, just do deep work. Just follow my guide that I'm gonna release, like, I think like a month from now. It's gonna be like a massive video on exactly how to work. That's something you've never been taught, and just follow those principles in the video, and you should be fine. So hopefully you've understood the 6 key main mistakes that I've made in my first weeks leading up to sixth form. If you implement these tips and like my advice, you'll probably beat me when it comes to like academics and stuff. And when that happens, DM me on Instagram. I'm yet to call, like, so I'm doing like this call out. I did the same kind of like call out system to people who beat me in like my GCSEs. So next video, I'm gonna like shout out to everyone who beat me in my GCSEs. So if you want me to shout you out like on my channel, and potentially like I'll invite you for like an interview to like show other people that it is possible to get good grades either at A level or GCSEs. Contact me on Instagram if like you've got better grades than me because of the advice I've said. So anyway, back to the main point. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you learned from this video as well, and I'll see you in the next one. Like this video, subscribe to the Shamalan YouTube channel. I am gonna upload way more consistently now, and share this video to someone who is struggling in their first few weeks at sixth form. I'll see you in the next one.